Show. Today is another day. We are here on ELBC Radio, and it's the 8th day of September, the ninth month, and we hearing a lot of news in the air. What's happening in Russia, in Moscow? Well, we will check it out and bring you details of what's happening in Moscow. Russia is at war with Ukraine. But at home here, we're hearing good news. Reduction in the price of petroleum. We try to get to the Minister of Information, Culture and Tourism to give us detail about the reduction of petroleum, fuel oil and gasoline. If we can get the minister, we try to reach the Minister Jalawa Tumpo. Here we celebrate good news. Welcome to the show. My name is Isaac Red. At social media is Anthony Williams. And as usual, our producer is Melvin Stewart. We have Richmond Gay and the rest of the team who package this production. ELBC Radio Bumper Show, welcome. Talk about it. On the show today, we'll hear from our correspondents. We have Fred Yigman standing by in Lower Nimba County. We also have George Colley in rural Masurado. And our man Elvis Goodnow in Magibi. And finally, Orlando Quali Milling right there in stand by for the package until 5 o'clock. We'll also be talking to you from your location, the good news. We'd like to hear the good news from where you are and tell us exactly what's happening in your county. Election is 15 months away. What am I hearing at the legislature? Senators and representatives have asked for a retirement package. And one of the senators who signed for retirement saying, after he signed, he's saying they should reduce it. Senator Darius Dillon, every time I call him to talk about things on the radio, he doesn't answer. I will try again. His name is all in the news. Senators have signed for their retirement package when they retire after 9 or 6 years. You need to pay them. But how much that money is, we will try to reach to Senator Darius Dillon. Now, I hear that Senator Darius Dillon after signing says that he wants the money reduced. Now, why did he sign in the first place? Welcome to the show. We got 1 hour. I try to envy my man Jala. Jala has 2 hours, and I got 1 hour, so I gotta make it a little quick to bring you all that I have before the time runs out. But let me give you a few trending issues, good news in the air. President George Weah, His Excellency Dr. George Weah, has made a number of nominations in his government pending Senate confirmation where applicable. Those nominated by the president include Judge Yamin Bezi, Senior. He's the Associate Justice to the Supreme Court. He will replace the newly appointed Chief Justice. And also Madam Sarah B. Flan, Ambassador Extraordinary Plenipotentiary and Permanent Representative of Liberia to the United Nations and all its organs. That since Dimas Kamanya was brought down as Liberian Ambassador to the UN, he hasn't gotten replaced. So President Weah has named Madam Sarah Flan to replace them. Chinese engineer expected to conduct feasibility studies for the overpass bridges and road projects. Chinese ambassador to Liberia, Ren Yixin, says a delegation of Chinese engineers are expected to arrive in Liberia to conduct a feasibility study on an overpass bridge and Japan Freeway to Sinka road project. A Chinese engineering team is expected to come to conduct the feasibility study on the Somalia Drive Sinka Road, Ambassador Brand said. AFL widows apologize to Finabondo. Widows of the Armed Forces of Liberia have publicly apologized to the Chief of Protocol of the Executive Mansion, Ambassador Noro Finda-Bono, and by extension, President George Weah, for falsely accusing Ambassador Bono of instructing people to collect $600 Liberian from each widow for a CDC identification card before they can get their deceased husband's benefit. At a press conference jointly held by the AFL Widow and the Bureau of Veteran Affairs, held at the headquarters of the Veteran Bureau, the chairperson of the widows, Mary Addison, expressed sincere apology to President Weah and Ambassador Bono for falsely accusing them, explaining that the pressure was immense or intense on them to provide for their homes and pay their children's school fees. The National Port Authority and the APM Terminal signed a historic dredging partnership agreement. The National Port Authority, the NPA, and APM have executed the dredging project financing or execution agreement under the mandate of the NPA Board of Directors, following the extensive discussion and alignment on the need for dredging and widening the port channels at the free port of Monrovia. A few good news for you. We will open the lines for you to give us good news from your county, and that's after we talk to our correspondents. We have a Nima County correspondent to talk to, Fred Yigwen. We also have George Colley of Mosorado to talk to him, and then we'll go to Elvis Goodno and Orlando Kwalimini. For now, we'll open the lines for you to talk to us on a number of issues. Good news from your end will be good to hear, and other issues in the country or in your county, we'd like to hear from you. So we have Fred on the line right now. Fred, how is Tapeta?
Yes, I think Tapeta is fun. Let's Tapeta fun, but I speak away from Tapeta. I'm around Kokopa there.
Oh, you're around Kokopa. That's around not far from Gompa.
Not far from Gompa, yes.
All right, so let's hear from you. I know you're up ready to give us a highlight about the business management. There's a conversation with residents of Lower Nimba to do business of the management of MC2 Bank. Yes. What is that? M2C Bank. What is it?
It's MC2. That's the name. That's an acronym for community, according to the bank manager. So that is the only community bank as interpreter as we speak. So the manager, Mr. James Freeman, has called on business people and other people to ensure that they can make business with the bank, because Tapeta, for example, at the time there are reports of theft of property, burglaries are taking place. So he thought that the bank is actually a safe place to keep your money.
So is the MC2 Bank a Liberian-owned bank, or is it a foreign-owned bank?
No, it's not a foreign bank. It's actually a community bank, and they have they are subsidiary of the African Bank in Monrovia.
What's the guarantee, security-wise?
Yes, when it comes to security, the MC2 Bank is a safe area because since I've been living in Tapeta, there are no reports of maybe burglary on the bank, and then customers are not complaining as to, maybe when it comes to system being down and the rest of it. So they operate, on a normal condition every time.
And how long do they intend to operate there?
Yeah, the MC2 Bank doesn't have a plan to leave the area because this is the only banking institution in Tapeta State. So the management every time has called for it, maybe to have a revamp, and then the only way it can happen is that through the community, if they continue to deposit and then save their money, and then because the bank also gives loan, so if they can make business with the bank, according to Mr. James Freeman, this will help the bank to grow.
Are people coming in from nearby villages and towns, say maybe Bloodyala or Town, to reach out to, or just people in Tapeta?
It's not just so in Tapeta, just like in Fort Jet, people are coming from Grand Julia, people are coming from far areas, people from Yahweh, Mesnombre, from Doru, and then Bloodyala, go to Babli. That's the commercial bank that is there that they usually make business with. Even though they just saving credit year was there, but reports have it that because of mismanagement of funds is already closed down. So the MC2 Bank is the only community bank providing that service to the people.
Has Mr. Freeman said anything about the bank being in the position to give out loan to people, maybe farmers or government workers?
Yes, as I speak to you, there is a group called the Multipurpose Cooperative, and this group is actually encouraging farmers to go into beans farming. And Capital as a committed and its environs, so many farmers are there currently that there was even a radio announcement just 2 days ago that those farmers grew to ensure that they can go and open an account, with the MC2 bank. It's actually coming as a boost for the bank because the very FP of school feeding program is investing into this local foods for students to be eating. So many farmers group are here working and ensuring that they plant beans and other crops that the very FP can purchase from them. So that is the only bank that majority of the people are rushing to open their accounts with.
All right, Fred, thank you. Otherwise, what about politics? Elections are not far. Those who engage in them in some other mobilization or social activities.
Come again?
We're not far from elections. Maybe 50 months from now, you seeing the atmosphere, is the atmosphere politically charged, or people are still just watching and waiting to see who moves first?
Definitely, as they can. That's what that training here, in lower Nimba. You will have, people are building, they are going to build their cells, cellular structures, or you receive friends of this, friends of Emmanuel, friends of Domo and the rest of the people. Just this afternoon, one of the aspirants, in person of Mr. Jackson P, was on the local radio station in Saturday, saying that he is the best person, that can replace Onokliki Camp 2023. So as I speak to you, so many of the politicians, so many will be aspirants have begun working. They have begun visiting with towns and villages, and then making friendships with other people and establishing structures, and other branches of the offices that they will be operating. So the ground for politics actually, it continues to gain that momentum. People continue, even discuss about politics in the public and in the streets and everywhere. Who's going to be that choice for the upcoming election and the rest of it?
And so, before we leave you, how many presidents have you counted who aspiring to remove Dowan Glikia or Prince Johnson?
Yes, for Representative Glikia, he has got Mr. Jackson P. Mr. Jackson P. comes from a European Newtown, that is in Babli Administrative District, and then you also have one Mr. B.K. Sherwin from the Buenaguya Belt, and then in Tapeta this year, we have heard about what Emmanuel Kanwa. Emmanuel Kanwa is a very young man, and then we also have appointed Johnson, and in the same district, in District 6. So for now, these are the notable names that we continue to hear, and then that making movements that continue to visit towns and villages in Tapeta, and then to have Yellow Valley.
All right, we have our correspondent line going off. Apparently, he has a recharge and get us, so we will probably call him back shortly. So we lost Fred there. He has some technical problem, signal problem, or his accounts will have to be reactivated. So Fred, I know you're monitoring us in Nimba County. So on this show next week, we will have a Nimba County former representative, Wally Sewaduna, on both the television. I know you know that we have a television show here every Tuesday called All Things Considered. So our guest on our show will be a visual presentation. Honorable Duna, former representative Nimba County, was just talking to the Nimba County correspondent. So I remember that on Tuesday we're having on the television, those of you who are listening from Nimba. So we tried to reconnect with Fred Yigban. Fred was telling us about potential or notable candidates who are aspiring to be represented candidates against Glikia in Nimba. We'll try to reach to other correspondents shortly. ELBC Radio, the Bumper Show moves on. We are trying to reach out to George Cully shortly. But before we get to George, let me bring you this beautiful song.
Up on the go see me, I go run. Challenge see me, I go run. But failure see me, I go baba. Cause I'm a beauty baba. Sit next to see me, I go run. Barbosa, when I see my peso. Actor, when I know my peso. Cause I'm a beauty baba. I'm a brand new man, I am a king. I'm born again, never the same. Holy one, yes, we never change. The worst I ever lasting. Holy the fire, fire. I salute to Russians of day. You never let me down again. I'm enjoying my heritage. Papa, they go see me, I go run. Challenge see me, I go run. But failure see me, I go baba. Cause I'm a beauty baba. Sit next to see me, I go run. Barbosa, when I see my vessel. Actor, when I know my vessel. Cause I'm a beauty baba.
Oh, I know you don't want the song to go lower than what is going to, but we'll come back to this beautiful song. It's a rich man. Let me talk to the next correspondent from Rural Maserado, George. George, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Red, and good afternoon
We're getting you loud here in Monrovia. Local farmers in rural Maserado County entering in cocoa and coffee or vegetable crops. What is that?
Yeah, the information is quite correct. Local farmers will be into the sanitary district for the weekend. That is the Tika Guys, cocoa and vegetable multi-purpose farmers cooperated in a one-day harvest and also groundbreaking for storage, where according to them, after harvesting the rice, they have to keep it somewhere for about a week in order to get buyers to get the produce or produce from those crops being harvested within this part of Liberia. And it was so wonderful with the presence of officials from the Ministry of Agriculture in attendance, Mr. Daniels. We have me who happen to be the officer in charge of our Department of Planning and also Development and Ministry of Agriculture, encourage farmers in this part of Liberia at least to do away with the issue of qualities demand now to fetch out to see how better they can see support from the ministry in getting that is a machine in order to expand farming activities, meaning on a large scale instead of being every year, because what is said that bulk of the time quality is being given on a whole to farmers is not really increasing their productivities. So if this time around would be the coming of the grant from the government through the Ministry of Agriculture, the Nutra project and that for the SAPES project, farmers now have the chance to work with the Ministry of Agriculture in getting funding that we able then at least to increase their productions with the vision of them harvesting or expanding their farming activities on the 50 acres of land within to the district.
Is cocoa business or cocoa farming still a profitable venture? Are people getting money out of that?
Yeah, definitely. For them, the cocoa, according to what they told me, getting it from Africa and other neighboring countries, and the issue of getting involved even in the loading rice, the swamp rice, I saw them, which they started the harvest on about 15 acres of land, and the president of the development superintendent, the assistant superintendent for development, in president of Mr. David Johnson, who also buttressed and spoke on behalf of the government that they will remain supportive in supporting farmers. On the aspect of the storage, it definitely pledged to provide things for farmers in order for them to at least be able to have a safekeeping for their products in order to at least, because as may be aware, there's a green light for tourism district shortly, hopefully October, because the public works will be starting road rehabilitation, which has become a serious problem for them. So now farmers have been given the assurance that hopefully October, those commodities, basic commodities, will be transported safely on a small path.
All right, George. Before we leave you, I was talking to Fred earlier on, and we'll be trying to study the political climate. How is it there in terms of people who want to be represented in district number 1, Montserrat County? People out and about the places trying to rally and trying to mobilize the people to vote for them?
Yes, Mr. Ray, one thing, like you just stated it clearly, the tool now is changing gradually. Well, bulk of the people attention are being switched on the upcoming census. Bulk of them are saying, meaning for people in this part of Liberia, they are saying that they want for at least this part of Montserrat County District number 2, District number 1, starting from the center belt and hitting to Kingsville number 7, in order for them for Tony to stand by itself. That's the only way development will come in this part of Liberia. So they are not lobbying, doing everything possible, getting citizens from Tony in other parts of Liberia to come home, hopefully October doing the census in order to form part of the process for them at least to stand as a district that we able to development to flow in. So all of those experiments so far calculating up to 10 of them I spoke with of recent, everyone is pushing for Tony to stand as a political district.
All right.
In living Skillsbury.
All right, thank you so much. At least they're concentrating on calling the people back home. The more number, the more you get independent representative slot, and then you can be a very big district from Mount Barkley all the way to Kakata, right?
Yeah, definitely, sure.
All right, thank you so much, George. We look forward to hearing from you again on the show. ELBC Radio, this is The Bumper Show.
I'm a brand new man, I'm a king. I'm born again, never seen. Holy one, yes, we never change. The worst I ever lost in. Holy the fire, fire. I salute to ashes of day.
I'm looking for good news around the country, and I know we get some good news from your end when we open the lines shortly. But guess what? The government of Liberia has announced new prices for petroleum products. Good news, man. Those who've been spending from the purse, from their pockets, from their wallet, huge amount of money on gas to get you there, yonder. Well, the government says based on the prevailing international rate of price on petroleum product, they will adjust the prices for you. Good news. When we have the good news, let's celebrate it. Parents in Margibi County stress the need for early childhood education. It's good news. What does that mean? There hasn't been any early childhood education in Margibi County?
Well, let me first say thank you so much for listening us and listening to people of Margibi through the issue of a Charlie early childhood education is something that needs to be looked at very seriously. It does not suggest that there hasn't been an issue of early childhood education, but it is all about the ministry paying very keen attention to parents, paying keen attention to early childhood education because this is the foundation of the.
And so who's making the appeal?
One of such persons is the head of the Aman Jakona School, Madam Nancy Collins, who have seen the need to open an institution so that the younger ones will be able to acquire education, so to speak, because according to her, that's the Nancy Fremont, that is, and that the foundation has to be built, you have read, and so that those persons will be able to go into the society to contribute nationally to the development of this country. When the foundation is not built on early childhood education, talking about pronunciation, some of them will say pronunciation, but it's pronunciation.
Okay, Elvis, Let me take you to a little bit of politics in Margibi County. We talked security the other day, and you said the police was, on top of security of the county, sweeping in the different communities of young people who were roaming the streets, creating mayhem. Let me ask you about politics. District 2, District 3, District 4 in Margibi County, in District 5. Since you're covering 2, 3, 4, and 5 from Kakata towards Wiyala, how is the political atmosphere like? Too many persons coming up for the representative job 2023.
Oh, yes. This is very overwhelming. When you look at district number 3, like you said, district 2, I may not be very close to district 2, but I can simply talk about district 3, district 4.
Yes. The Kakata 3, 4, and 5.
Exactly. You got it right. Now, so with respect to district number 3, there are a lot of names. Talking about John Smith, talking about Ezra McGiffler, talking about the Cuban, and some of those presidents whose names are yet to be announced. And Felicio Soare, he comes from the Muslim background. With the collective effort of those people, and it's something that needs to be looked at very seriously. If you went to district number 4, you look at the businessman, a potential businessman, a man who has invested so much into the lives of the people, Mr. Emmanuel Yah. And then you look at Francis Fallon Cooper, who comes from the PUP. And you look at Fred Cooper, who is an international base politician. And so those are the names right now that are filtering into the district. And when you look at the district number 5, you have the Cuban, who is a friend, some of those presidents who are leadership in the county. And then you have one, Alice Bissa, a woman, the only female aspirant in the district. And you also look at some of those presidents who think the man who is at the Labor Ministry, Anthony Opa Moses, who contested before in the national field. Right? And then you look at the man who was also provided an opportunity by the Honorable Senator Arizona V. Charlie. Those are the names. And so politically, the country is tied. But all we can say is that the best side will take the day, and that based on your contributions and commitment to the people, you will be an opportunity. But this is, a democratic process. Anyone, anybody can participate, sir.
Elvis Goodnow, thank you so much. We're leaving Margibina and rolling on to nearby Bond County, where we'll shortly be talking to Orlando Kwalemili. Orlando is telling us about the current representative of the Salala district area, Representative Moiman Bridge, who wants Liberian women to cultivate a sense of responsibility for their children. Where did Representative Moiman Bridge make the remark, or when? We will be talking to Orlando Kwalemili, who's listening to us right now. I want to say it, ELBC is monitored across Liberia, the Bumper Show, and a couple of other community radio stations. We're also on the social media. Let me take a few comments. Abraham Political Moderate Setu, I'm watching. He's a regular viewer of the show. He's watching from the headquarters of the Veteran Bureau on the most talked about Bekuba Avenue. I'd like to go and see where that place is one day. It is in the Dole community area. Munya Sharif, I am following the show from 24th Street, Sinker. All right. Thank you for following Munya Sharif. Mohammed Bapolo, good evening to you at ELBC. My mother comfort how co-observe and Liberians in totality. I am attentively following the show, let me say, from where he didn't say. Ayuba Mamu Champion Sanon, Ayuba Shannon, washing from his residence, where he didn't say to. The good news must be told. That's true. That's from our own colleague Jala Griffey, who's washing from where, I don't know, but I just left him in the compounds doing some other office work. Augustine H. Taylor, I am Augustine Taylor watching you from Harper, Maryland County. If we're giving awards to people who are viewing, Plebo and Harper cities will I obviously take the award. They watch a lot. They always monitoring the show. Abraham Foot Saki Jr. Hi, watching from Bangabong County, from Far East Community. Good afternoon, Orlando Kwalimini.
Good afternoon, Chief, and those who following the bumper show this Thursday afternoon.
The background sounds like sea is in Totota. Yeah, too much breeze.
Yeah, because we have a very sunny weather, so you can hear the breeze on the back there. The weather here is very, very nice.
All right, I like that. So before I go to Maman Bridge speaking to the women of her district, how is the Totota Electricity Corporation?
Yeah, certainly the Toyota Electric Cooperative is getting bigger every day. Just recently, the United States Agency for International Development gave them one fairly used vehicle to enhance their work. So now, the Toyota Electric Cooperative wanting to do expansion, you will not see the guys tolling and with the wires, the lower wires on their shoulders on stick, but rather you will see them in vehicle moving from communities to communities.
Oh, that's good news. So it suggests that they're connecting more homes?
Yes, certainly when we are getting into the corridor, they will soon be extending, to other communities. Because prior to the fire outbreak in March of this year, they have already brought into that particular facility 50 plus light poles, which have been used because of the fire outbreak. It made a slow operation. But what we are gathering is like some of the equipment that got burned, like the battery and the generators are being worked out. When that is done, that means we'll be having, 2 generators, and the power source must be bigger for the expansion.
Let's talk about power theft. It's rampant in other areas, especially around Monrovia and its suburbs. What about Totota? Are you experiencing power theft?
If and only if power test was issues to be dealt with, then the Toyota Electric Cooperative, because what is happening is surprising to you that in this particular time, you can live in Monrovia as you are presenting and switch off your current on your phone. So that the Toyota Electric Cooperative is using one of the best morning systems. So you can live in Monrovia, if you see the case, I've been using your electricity at home anywhere and call it off right on your phone.
Oh,
So there's no
that's
power
good.
test.
That's excellent. Technology at its best.
Certainly.
Now, okay, good you give us the update on electricity in Totota. Good news. I like good news. Let's talk about Representative Maman Bridge. She's been speaking to some women there and telling them to cultivate a sense of responsibility.
Yeah, and before we talk that, just recently the representative have been so based. Remember, we had an issue the last time on Flag Day. So the representative have been so busy talking to family members to make sure that particular issue can go off hand. You remember I reported how some of the aggrieved family members blocked the road the last time. So the representative was able to intervene into the matter to call on them to respect the rule of law. And in that particular interaction, she brought to Maimu that County Anthony, Mr. Janitor Flomo, they both were in Maimu. They talked to the aggrieved family members and the reason. So now to speak, the issue in Maimu kind of folded there, and the representatives have assured the family members, as usual, that being that she was elected to seek the interest of all, regardless of what background, she will make sure that the rest thing is done. So she has been working overtime, and just recently she was able to bring into the district an NGO called AGRO. They visited some of the facilities, and they were able to present some drugs to some of the facilities in the district. So that's what she's been doing of recent.
So when you say doing a recent, are you suggesting that elections are coming, so she's doing it, or has she been really involved with the people?
No, to be very frank, the representative had and continues to be involved with the people. So I think that she is concerned in terms about doing the work of the people. She did not do it because of the electoral event. And since she was elected, she has been doing pretty well. So August and this month have been a basic month for the representative
following the dedication of the daily market in Flella and the distribution of some checks as an empowerment to them. So yeah, she has been doing it is not only for electoral process because she is the incumbent, and that's the sole responsibility. A lot of some of the electoral messages or promises are made. So if in conformity of these political messages